Well, the Baltimore Ravens have won 13 consecutive regular season home games, the longest such streak in the NFL. Interesting fact, they're only 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 home games. So despite the fact they've won 13 in a row, haven't been a good team to back at home recently. This Sunday they'll host the Dallas Cowboys. Ravens currently installed as a 3.5-point favorite on BETDAQ. 44.5 the total in this game. Dallas is coming in here off a bye week. They're 2-2 on the year, but really it's backs against the wall time for the Cowboys. Their last game, a primetime home game, they were embarrassed by the Chicago Bears. This team looks like a fraud again every year. It seems like for the last couple of years, we have high expectations for the Dallas Cowboys. I have high expectations after seeing them play the first week of the season this year. You thought, and I said here on the side, I said maybe this is the year. Dallas certainly seems to have all the pieces, and that's what you say every year. So maybe we just overrate this talent. I'm not sure what it is, but clearly not happening yet this year, especially on the offensive side of the ball. With all the personnel they have, and I'm a believer in Tony Romo. I believe he's a good player. I know a lot of people won't get off his back until he has some postseason success. And he's passing for nearly 300 yards a game this year, 296 yards a game. That's fourth most in the NFL. He hadn't been the problem for whatever reason, and so maybe he has been the problem because I know it's the quarterback's responsibility to get the team in the end zone. Dallas hadn't been scoring. They hadn't been scoring enough points. Only averaging 16 points a game. That's 30th in the league in points per game. Inexplicable when you look at some of the talent on this offense. They have not been able to get their running game going. 29th in the league in rushing yards. DeMarco Murray, a really good young back. Looks really good at times, but again, Dallas doesn't really commit to the run game. You know, they're a pass-first team, but when they have committed to the run game in these recent weeks, hasn't worked out as well. So they'll look to get that offense on track this week on the road in Baltimore. Now, over the last few years, going on the road in Baltimore is not the place to get your offense on track. But this year's Ravens team is a little different. The offense is actually the strength of this year's Ravens team. Last week notwithstanding when they beat the Kansas City Chiefs 9-6 and didn't score a touchdown. But this defense, the proud Ravens defense, 24th in the league right now in total defense, and the more surprising thing is they're 19th in the league against the rush, allowing 120 rushing yards a game. Remember, this is a defense for years. I mean, they had that streak going with no 100-yard rushers that lasted a couple of seasons. I mean, for years, this team, you could not run the ball on this team. That's changed a little bit. Obviously, some of their stars are aging. Some of their stars aren't there, like Terrell Suggs. So this defense, I don't think it's the 24th best defense in the league, even though they're 24th in yards allowed right now in total defense. But there's no question it's not the same defense it was in years past. That being said, we mentioned the Dallas offense was struggling, so do you expect to see a lot of scoring in this game? 44.5 the total, and I do sort of lean towards the under here. Baltimore's defense played better last week. We mentioned the struggles of the Dallas offense. And Dallas, last year, the Achilles heel of this team was their secondary. They lead the league in pass defense now. They obviously revamped secondary. Free agent acquisition, Brandon Carr, the cornerback from Kansas City, and rookie Morris Claiborne has been playing well too. Morris Claiborne gets a lot of action because they like throwing at him more than they like throwing at Carr. But this secondary has been excellent. The Ravens are balanced on offense, but the wide receiver position is not one of their strengths. So even though I'm impressed with Joe Flacco this year and what he's done, I feel like Flacco has really arrived. And as I said, I think the offense, Baltimore's offense, is actually slightly better than their defense right now. I do expect the Dallas secondary and that Dallas defense to have some success. So my favorite bet in this game is under 44.5. Tough not to lean towards Baltimore here. Dallas 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 games. Of course, Baltimore, we mentioned, even though they've won so many home games in a row, only 1-5 against their last 6 at home. So something's going to give here. I guess I lean towards Baltimore minus 3.5. I think they're a better, more complete team. I know I'm not going out on any great limb saying that. Obviously, Baltimore at 4-1, one of the favorites in the AFC at this point. And some people, I thought this line was going to be closer to 5.5 when it was released. It is only 3.5. So we know the Cowboys. People love betting on the Cowboys, America's team. So every game you sometimes have to pay that Cowboy tax, just like the Laker tax in basketball. Pittsburgh Steelers are another team where the lines might be skewed a point or two in games involving those teams just because people like betting on those teams. People love betting on the Dallas Cowboys. So maybe that's the reason for a line here that might look a little lower than I thought it was going to be before the line was released. Do lean towards Baltimore, but as I said, I do like under 44.5 a little bit more.